Hello, my name is Dr. Matthew Potter and I'm the curator of Limerick Museum. One of the highlights of Limerick Museum is our magnificent collection of Limerick Lace. And it's nearly 200 years now since Limerick Lace started in 1829 when an English entrepreneur, Charles Walker, began the industry here in Limerick City. It flourished for most of the 19th and into the early 20th century, and we are very proud that we have acquired in recent years collections of two of the major figures in the history of Limerick Lace, namely Florence Vera O'Brien, whose collection we acquired on long-term loan in 2019, and Maud Carney, whose collection we acquired in 2023. As a result of these two acquisitions, Limerick Museum has now the largest collection of Limerick Lace in existence.
Hello, I'm Susan.
I'm Ava.
And we're Limerick Lace makers, and we're from a group called Friends of Lace. We're here talking a little bit about Maud Carney. Maud Carney was born in 1873 in Limerick, and she ran a lace factory for over 50 years in Thomagate called Thomond Lace Industry, employing over 50 people while also raising her family of 5. Maud was very successful in her business and even owned a 2-seater sports car, which was unheard of for a woman during this time. Maud died in 1963, aged 90, and is one of the greatest figures in the history of Limerick Lace. So Ava, we have a lovely Maud Carney collar here in front of us today. You might tell us a little bit about it.
Well, Maud Carney did all her own designs, and the way how you can recognize that this is Limerick Lace is by looking at the edging. It's called
pearl.
It's called pearl, and you could actually buy it by the meter back in the day. It doesn't get produced any longer, and it's a typical feature of Limerick Lace. Also, you can recognize that the piece is antique by looking at the net, because this does no longer get produced. The machine's broke. A modern net has hexagon shape, while this one doesn't. And it contains some stitches typical for Limerick Lace. One is called the heavy darn, which, as the name says, looks like darning right here. And then there is a few more filling stitches in there that we still use today.
Now we have another piece of Limerick Lace from the Florence Vera O'Brien collection. Florence Vera O'Brien was born in London in 1854. Florence's collection is one of the most important private collections of Limerick Lace. She was a key figure in the revival of the craft. From 1889 to 1922, she ran the Limerick Lace School in Limerick City, using high-quality materials as well as her own designs to ensure the continuation of Limerick lace making. Lace from her school won prizes in the World Fair in Chicago, St. Louis, and the Dublin Horseshoe. So we have a most beautiful blouse here from the Florence Vera O'Brien collection.
I mean, I'm completely impressed being a lace maker myself, looking at this piece. Again, we have old net that it is made with, and we have the border in pearl, and we thought, oh yes, this might be tambour work. Tambour work is done with a hook, like a crochet hook, with the point of a needle. And because there are 2 types of Limerick lace, one is made with tambour and the other one is just embroidery with needle and thread on net. So at first glance we thought it's maybe partially tambour and the rest is done as needle run.
Filling stitches too,
yeah. And then we took some pictures and enlarged them to see have a closer look at it, and we came to the conclusion that
it's all tambour. It's the most beautiful piece.
Yes, it's made with extremely fine thread. The buttons are covered with net, and it's just gorgeous.
It's beautiful. Here we have a lovely black shawl made by Eileen O'Donoghue in 1910 and was donated by a lady called Bernadette Kerr. And Eileen O'Donoghue was a lace maker in the Florence Vera O'Brien School in Limerick City, and she also taught younger ladies to make lace. So the stitches here, lots and lots of heavy darn, Eva, isn't there?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's an amazing amount, but it really works well with the black. I think one of the reasons, maybe it's just making lace myself, looking at the black, I know I don't have a problem seeing the white netting, but I would have real big trouble working on black. And I think the thing with the heavy darn is that it is a fairly uncomplicated stitch. Would you say so?
Yes, it's quite easy to do and it's very repetitive and there isn't a lot of thinking involved in it. So I suppose that's why there's a lot of heavy darn on this black piece of net, this beautiful shawl.
Yeah, I think it would also be easier on the eye.
Absolutely, yeah.
And there's a great variety of filling stitches in the areas that have
spaces for the stitches. We have the cobweb is in there, and the cross stitch is in there, and the bird's eye is in there. Yeah, there's some stitches in there that we actually can't identify, but it is the most beautiful
it is. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I do not know how the lace makers back then managed to work with black on black. It's amazing.
Even the amount of time, I mean, Lord, I'd say there's a year's work, full time, in this piece of lace. Would you agree?
Easily. I think nowadays we don't really appreciate any longer how much work went into making lace.
Yeah, it's very time
consuming. How incredibly valuable they were, and how, it was incredibly expensive to purchase lace back then. It's like comparative. I think you could compare it with buying diamonds nowadays. It falls in a similar category when you back in the time.
The early 1900s.
And it was fully justified.
Absolutely, the amount of time that went into it.
Yeah. Okay, so this shawl that I made was a bit of a mad undertaking looking back at it, because I had one lace class, my first class in Limerick Lace with Tony O'Malley, and she asked us to think about what we'd like to make. She showed us some beautiful lace pieces, and I tried some stitches on net, and I knew, I can do this. So I thought, well, I'd like to make myself a shawl. And Tony, just from seeing in that one class what my potential capabilities were, totally supported me in it. And as like 6 years ago, there weren't that many patterns for Limerick Lace available, so she encouraged me to go buy, plants, flora and fauna of Ireland, to go with that motto and look for something. So the pattern is made up from this corner piece being a part of a crafters magazine, a crochet pattern that's about 45 years old. And then I employed my son, who is very artistic and can draw, unlike me, to help me out and to do the in-between bits for me. And I told him what I wanted in the middle. And so once all that was done, I went back to him and said, look, could you do me some nice butterflies for the end pieces? And by that time I think he had enough. So he said, Mom, we can just go online and let's see what we find there. So that butterfly, if I remember right, is a stock photo, one of them that we found online. So we copied it and we put them together opposite, and with Tony's help we got creative, and that's the result. So it can be done, but if I'm honest, when I was like a month or two into it, I thought, oh, for God's sake, what was I thinking? But yeah, I'm glad I did it, and I'm grateful for Tony who encouraged me, and my son who stood behind me and did
wedding veil that I made that hopefully somebody will wear it one day. But it's Limerick Lace, it's needle run Limerick Lace. It took me about 2.5 years to make. About 6 years ago I started it, and it did take about 2.5 years to make. All along the edge you can see is heavy darn, so that took quite a bit of time. I suppose, started with the centrepiece, and here is just how we actually started. We put our pattern on greaseproof paper, and then I put this on some cork and I outlined it, and then I just added after that little bits of my own designs that I found in various patterns. It's cathedral length, so it's quite long, and as I said, it took a bit of time. It's priceless, and I'm hoping it'll be a family heirloom to go on for a long, long time.